Why, hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler, and today, for review, we have for you the Kizer Feist. Alright guys, so this is the Kizer Feist. This thing is actually a pretty sweet freaking little knife, and Justin Rowan, just as a FYI dude, this is right up your freaking alley. So this is some nice little micarta going on either side with minimal hardware, T6. There's only two pocket clip screws on this side and one body screw on either side, held together by one pivot, which is a T8, and then T6 on every other screw here. Very, very nice and low key. The micarta is just a rectangular shape with rounded edges, or almost a cylindrical shape, that has really nicely knocked down edges, and I have no problem with that. The micarta is also turning colors very nicely when it comes to the hand oils, and it looks fantastic. The blade centering is coming in just perfect. It has one barrel spacer standing off here, and that's really about it. We have a titanium pocket clip that is not ambidextrous, and a pivot screw with a pivot pin. What is that called? Yeah, I guess you call it pivot pin. That is locked in place on one side. This is a front flipper, and as you can see, this thing flips pretty nice. It has a very, very sweet action. And the liners I didn't mention because it wasn't open and you guys couldn't see it anyways. If you look here, it's got a bunch of little holes on one side, but on the other side, there's not much milling on these liners, but there's not much that needs to. The cool note is that these liners are recessed into this micarta. Onto this S35VN Sheepsfoot style beautiful looking blade. This blade is crowned. It's nicely rounded off all the way around, super, super comfortable with some jimping right here for your thumb that I guess my thumb's not going to go there. I'm really going to hold my hand here, but not a huge deal. No side to side, no up and down, and this is locking in at around 30%. This has a nice, let me look at my notes. It's kind of hard to tell here. Yes, that's what I thought. So this is coming in with a nice hollow grind to get this thin blade stock with a thin, not, I should say tall. This isn't a tall blade. So it doesn't give it much room to come down to a sharp edge, but this hollow grind really allows it to do just that. Other than that, there's not much to talk about. There's not much thrills about this knife. Or frills, I should say. We got a sharpening choil there. This is really reminiscent of the Civivi X-Arc, and just much, much, much better done, in my opinion. Couple things I forgot to mention before we move on. This is a Justin Lundquist design, and if this is something that Justin does on a regular basis, which I'm not 100% familiar with many of his models just because I'm relatively newer to a lot of this style of stuff, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a fantastically designed knife, and it's awesome in hand. And last thing that I didn't really mention either is that this liner lock is not it has no jimping. It has tiny little cutouts. See if you guys can see it on the liner right there. Get a little closer. Too close for your guys' comfort. I don't know if you guys can see them. There's like tiny little like nicks as it goes through for a little bit of traction, but the liner is so soft. It is just a dream. This thing is a very, very fidget-friendly, fun little knife that I can't do like that. I was going to try to come over the top, but I can't. Yeah, very, very cool. All right, so let's jump into some specs, guys. First and foremost, let's get you guys a weight on this guy. This is coming in at a whopping 2 ounces. Guys, 2 ounces. For you bug out lovers, this is right up your alley. If you guys like that lightweight stuff, especially the blade length to weight ratio, you're going to get it in this little guy right here. Jump into the overall length. Blade length to weight ratio. For those of you that care. Guys, in the comments, somebody tell me if you actually give a damn about the blade length to weight ratio. I don't know if that's like a fabricated thing by reviewers or what, but we're like taught to believe that there's some mythical formula that comes up with this blade length to weight ratio that people like or don't like, and I don't know. Anyways, on a tangent. This is a 6.5-inch knife with a 2 3/4 inch blade, and The blade falls just shy, the cutting edge falls just shy of that, just due to that sharpening choil, but not very much so. The way this is rounded off at the top, it does allow for this blade length, or the edge, to come down almost to the tip of there, keeping the same edge as it has in blade length. What did I say, 2 3/4, but the weight's coming in at 2 ounces? There you go, guys. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Check the overall blade stock thickness here. Blade stock thickness is coming in at a whopping 120 thousandths. That's relatively narrow. And let's see how low can they go. So they're coming in at about 19 thousandths behind the edge, about 20 thousandths behind the edge. That's actually pretty good. And it gives enough to where I'm not worried about this chipping like crazy, but it makes it ultra slicey as well. The overall thickness is coming in at 0.43, or 0.43 of an inch, which is relatively narrow, so this is going to be a very, very nice carry. And the overall height in your pocket's coming in at about 0.86 of an inch, or 860 thousandths. Once again, this is something that you're going to put in your pocket and probably forget. It's just a convenient little knife for when you need a convenient little knife. This is not a deep carry. That is kind of one of those things that you're like, for as small as you are, maybe you should have been, but it's titanium, and I mean, it fits the design. It looks really nice. I am not mad about that one. But I'm going to flip this over because it doesn't like to sit on that pocket clip. Ooh, for these size comparisons. This is going to be a little awkward. We're going to do it backwards today. First and foremost, here is your Spyderco Astute. I'll do one large knife. I'll show you guys the Shaman, but there's no real reason to show you all the large knives. As you can tell, this is a pretty damn small knife. The Spyderco Astute's coming in at much longer cutting edge and a little bit longer of a knife. The Spyderco Shaman's obviously dwarfing this knife. A couple more conventionally small knives. We have our Rat Model 2. As you can see here, still longer than your Kizer Feist. Here is your Savivi Elementum. Relatively comparable in size. I mean, yeah, the Elementum's almost the same size as the Rat 2, but something about these two, I'm looking at them, and even the cutting edges are looking almost the same. There's a lot of the same there. Sorry, guys, got this like hiccups under the breath. It's kind of weird. Let's show your mini feldspar. And last but not least, just because I have this on the table, you guys know how I feel about my Launch 10. Here is your Launch 10. This is finally a knife that doesn't get completely and utterly dwarfed. Like, it doesn't dwarf my Launch 10 like crazy. And that's, thank you, because, you know, I like you, guy. I don't want you to always feel like the little guy in the room. So, as a quick recap, this is a micarta Kizer Feist with recessed liners with a little bit of milling in there. We have a liner lock, which is really soft. It's scalloped out in the liner with little nicks that are going across the liner lock itself, making it really have really nice traction and really soft to push at the same time. And I love that about it. Let's see here. Interesting. Hold on. I'm trying to figure something out real quick. So this must have internal stops because there is no stop pin that I can see. So that must mean the stops are riding along the tang of the blade on the inside with a pin going through, which is cool because that lends itself to even more simple construction going through. There's not much to get hemmed up on. It's just boom. The action, this is on ball bearings, and the action is absolutely fantastic. This blade is a Sheepsfoot style blade with an S35 VN coated with a stonewash and a really nice crown going across the top, making it feel very, very just classy. It's rounded off. There's no sharp edges on this knife. We have some nice little, subtle jimping here. I don't know that I would use the knife like this. I would probably use it like this to get a little bit more fingers on it. And, yeah, I love the fact that there's not that much hardware on it either. Let's go into my likes, my dislikes. I'll let you guys go, let you guys know if I can recommend it. Likes. First and foremost, this blade is really fun to use. It's the perfect style of a Sheepsfoot mixed with just this discreet, awesome with the lines. It's just a straight, it just looks cool. This is a very classy looking knife. This knife is actually pretty slicey too due to that narrow blade stock coming in at 120 thousandths and that hollow grind with the behind the edge of just about 20 thousandths. So yeah, that blade is awesome. The looks on this guy are another like of mine. I mean, this just looks classy. I feel like I can put this in my front pocket and be like, this is cool. I'm cool. You're cool. We can all be cool together. It just looks fine. Fine, right? And the recessed liners look really, really good with it as well. I think it just flows really, really nicely. The action on this, plus the minimal hardware, but we'll go into the action first. The action is just so damn good. I mean, and I'm telling you, like, I'm not lying. There is no back and forth and no up and down, and it just goes, for such a small blade, yeah, this thing's fun. See if I can do it sideways. Whoop. Another thing I like about this is the minimal hardware. There's only like 4 screws total. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the pivot. Yeah, 5 screws, and you could take off this side just by taking off that pivot and that screw. It's really accessible, so you can get in there and clean what you need to clean and get out. And, you know, I got severely distracted with my final like. And, you know, it's just, I appreciate that. You don't need to give us an obnoxious amount of hardware if the knife doesn't lend itself to have one. This is a classy looking knife. Give less hardware. Last but not least, the carry profile on this guy is just so discreet. I mean, even the front flipper here isn't sticking too proud of the scale of the top. Relax, slow down. Everything's gonna be fine. It isn't sticking too far top of the scale, and that's really nice, really subtle, and it lends itself to an extra classy look. This is a good thing. So I have 2 dislikes about this knife, and you know, one, with the straight lines and all these ergonomic things, this thing isn't the most ergonomic beast. It's not necessarily a dislike. It doesn't feel awful, but then again, it's not meant to be a hard use knife, so I don't know how much I can really fault it, even though the ergos aren't that great. This is where I'm going to fault this knife and all other knives that take this design. If I am using this knife and I am cutting something, my hand is going to go, and if it slips like this, right down the frickin' edge of the blade. Like, there is nothing stopping me from slipping and just gashing my hand open. That I have to knock pretty severely. It didn't happen to me, and I guess if you're holding it like this, it's not. But the tighter you squeeze, if you slip, you are gonna slice the living crap out of your hands. Is that something that I'm too worried about? No, because I don't think you're gonna be using it like that for those hard-to-use tasks. But it's possible. And I have to mention that. That's something that, as I was using it one day, I slipped. I didn't cut myself, but it was one of those that I'm looking and I did this light slip. I'm like, oh my gosh, that literally just gave me stitches. So that is a thing. So the price on this guy's coming in at $130. And can I recommend this for $130? I think the build quality is fantastic. I think the action is amazing. I think S35VN for $120, $130 is still pretty damn good. And it just looks classy, and there's not much to hate about this knife. I don't hate anything about it. I think it's fantastic, and I definitely can recommend it for $130 if this is your cup of tea. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Tyler. You guys stay sharp, stay safe. Have a great freaking day, guys. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. It genuinely means a lot. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. If you didn't like it, give me some feedback in the comments below and hit the thumbs down button. In case you guys don't know, I do have a Patreon, which will be listed right here. In that Patreon, we're giving bi-monthly giveaways to just the Patreons based on the number of Patreons that we have in the Patreon. We will also be giving discounts on all the knives that I sell based on the number of patrons. My name is Tyler. This is Everyday EDC. You guys stay sharp, stay safe, and have a great day.